Hi, everyone. It's Kelly from the Hub. I'm here today with a brand new person that you have not met before. Her name is Meg, and well, let's just be straight up about it. Meg is my cousin. And you should, of course, know that we're cousins because do you see that we both have maps on our walls? We did not plan that, but great families think alike. So, you're probably wondering to yourself, Kelly, you brought your father on here to talk about random stuff. What is your cousin going to be talking about? I don't just pull random people off the street. I mean, I know these people and they're lovely. Meg is a potter by avocation, and she does like other complicated other side of her brain stuff for her vocation. And so we all need to find our balance, and this was one of Meg's ways to balance out her life. And so, Meg, hello.
Hello.
How
I'm
are
so happy to
you?
be here. I'm good.
Good. Yeah, so if you didn't see at the bottom, she's a Warner, I'm a Warner. That's how it all works. So Meg, do you want to talk about what you do in your regular life so that people can be like, huh, she is a potter in for fun and she does this in regular life?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a degree in engineering from Michigan State, and I currently work for a healthcare system here in Lansing, and I work in the IT department. And that sounds super technical, but honestly, a lot of my day is just calling up doctors and teaching them how to delete their notes and do things like that. So it's a very interesting job. It keeps me super busy, and it's been one heck of a year to work in healthcare, but
I was
loving
going
it
to
so
say,
far.
yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. So you can see that is absolutely, and I never remember which side of the brain that is. That's one side of her brain. And
Yeah.
then she can balance herself by doing pottery. So how do you how do you enter the world of clay? Like how do you even do that? Like I've never just thought to myself, clay.
So it all started actually with an obsession with houseplants. I don't have any in my screen behind me,
Well, I
but
was going to say like you have a ton. A
I
ton.
do.
Yeah.
I think I was nearing 100 at some point. Many have died, but I have a significant amount of plants around my house, and it looks like a jungle. And I kept seeing all these cool pictures of plants in these beautiful pots. And actually, maybe you can bring this one, like this one. I love these plants that I would buy.
Oh, yeah, they're gorgeous and
Yeah, and I
expensive.
wanted They are. So I wanted to see if I could make my own and, customize the shape and the size and see how exactly I wanted them to look. And so I looked for studios in my area, and I found one that had recently opened up, and I heard that their classes were pretty good. So I convinced a friend to sign up with me. I think it was a 7 or 8 week long course. You just go twice a week in the evenings. And I just thought, heck, I'd give it a try.
And then you liked it and then you really did it.
Yeah, I loved it. And after I finished the 8 week course, I was like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. I think I want to keep doing this, but I'm not certain. And it wasn't super cheap. So I didn't want to sign up for classes back to back just in case I lost my steam and I didn't feel like spending all my evenings there. So I decided to take a break. And in those 3 or 4 months, I just thought about pottery all the time. I was like, man, why didn't I sign up for that class? I really miss it. Like, I was just thinking about it in my free time. I was like, I wish I had class tonight. I wish I could go make some more stuff. So I signed up for the next class that I could take. And that was in the very beginning of 2020. And that time I made my boyfriend sign up with me.
And did he have as much excitement about doing it as you did? Because this was his first time and this is like your second round.
He did not have that much excitement about it at the time. He was working as a mason. So he was doing a bit with concrete and brick and mortar and laying all that. So he had a bit of interest in it and thought he would like it because it was more working with his hands, but in a more artistic way.
Yeah.
But he wasn't as like gung-ho obsessed about it as I was.
So you took 2 classes and you do the wheel thing, right? And you'll talk about that, but like you do like the wheel stuff that you put your finger in, it goes whoa, whoa, and makes all the cool shapes, right? That's what you do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you, I don't know, glaze it, paint it. Is that what it's called? Glazing? I
Yeah,
forgot.
you got it.
It's been a long time since I have done this. And then you fire it in the kiln.
Yep.
And then it looks beautiful.
Yes. Yeah, that's the general process. It gets a lot more complicated, but overall it's pretty simple.
So, and you like this so much that you started your own Etsy store.
Yeah, so it was actually about halfway into my second class that I signed up for that I realized I was like, yeah, I love this and I want to keep doing it, but I didn't want to pay to keep going to the studio, and then I can only go on Tuesdays from 6 to 9 o'clock. I wanted to just be able to go down to my basement and work on it. So I started collecting all the supplies I needed to get my studio created, and that was building shelves and of course buying a wheel and getting a whole bunch of tools, and then the raw materials like clay and glaze. And I started collecting all of it super quickly. And by some crazy coincidence, I finished it like 5 days before COVID shutdown happened. And my studio was perfect and ready for lockdown. It was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's very cool. And okay, I just have to ask this question. How do you find a pottery wheel? Like, I know how to find a car and I know how to buy clothes. Like, do you go, is it like a Craigslist thing and you're like in search of pottery wheel? Like, how do you do that? Or you don't go on Amazon and buy a pottery wheel, do you?
You actually can, but I wouldn't recommend it.
Okay.
The ones on Amazon are very cheap and generally don't last very long.
Okay.
But yeah, you have a couple options. You can buy new or you can buy used. A lot of people find really good deals on Facebook and Craigslist. I did check there for a while when I knew that I wanted to buy a wheel. I watched for a couple weeks, and I don't live in an area with a lot of potters, so I didn't get much luck. And then I decided I needed to buy a new wheel, so that started that search. And there's a wide array of wheels that you can buy. They start at like the $100 ones that go on Amazon up to $2,000-$3,000 ones that are super nice, big, have a really strong motor so that you can throw a lot of clay. And I ended up going with a pretty cheap starter wheel that I think it was around $500. So it wasn't too bad.
Okay, so it's been such a while since I have thrown clay that are there still wheels that you use your foot to make the wheel go?
Yes, those are called kick wheels. And I have no experience with those.
Because
the ones I've always used
speed with your foot.
Yeah.
If you wanted to go faster or slower, whatever, you used your foot to make that. I mean, it's literally foot power that you use to make it. And so yours is, okay, I feel like I'm talking about like the dark ages. I'm sorry. I was like, how old am I? I just think that's, okay, it was probably in high school. Like that's what we learned on first. And then, so yours is, I feel yours is fully mechanical.
It is electric. Yep. I just plug it in and there's an on switch and there it goes.
But does it have speeds that you can do? You can choose speeds?
Yeah. So there's a pedal that goes under your foot and it's like a gas pedal, basically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So you can still you can still control the speed, but it's designed to be electric, not with my foot going up and down.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Just like a gas pedal.
Oh, very cool. So you made a whole studio.
Yes.
You really went to the next level.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to put together everything I needed so that I could go down in my basement and do whatever I wanted to. And it worked really well. I think we got the whole thing set up in maybe 2 or 3 weeks. The biggest expense was the wheel by far. Everything else is just odds and ends that you need to get ready.
And then there's clay.
Yes.
And that's a whole, okay. Is clay, this is how much I know. So I'm asking all the questions that all the viewers are
good.
So in my head, okay, let's just use this as an example. And if this doesn't work, okay, I could use several examples. So one time we had a bare patch of grass in the backyard and We were told, go to Home Depot and get grass seed, and then you sprinkle it in, and then blah, 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 grass.
Mhm.
And so that's what we did. We went to Home Depot, and then I lost my mind because there were like 40 kinds of grass seed. Do I want Kentucky Blue? Do I want hardy in the winter? Do I want soft and natural? And I just wanted grass. And
Yeah.
so it was way more complicated than I thought. Is that how the clay world is? Or do you just buy
Yeah.
clay? Oh, so it's like the grass world.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of different colors. So that's the easiest for people to understand. So you have, this is like a terracotta clay that I have, and then
I thought all clay was
Clay.
that.
Nope.
Oh, it's not. So there's like terracotta, and there's like white. That's white.
Yeah, this one's probably easier to see. It gets whiter after the final firing.
Oh, okay. So that was,
Yep.
is that glazed or not glazed?
This is unglazed. I can go through the stages of my props here
Yeah,
if you
we'll
want.
do that. We'll do that. We'll do that. So that's
Okay.
an unglazed one.
Yes. Yep. These are all just raw clay I have here, and you can buy it in all kinds of different colors: light brown, dark brown, black, white, speckles, no speckles.
Is it also like, I'm going to use a word that I'm not sure is even appropriate in the clay world, grit, or like texture?
Yeah. So
I guess I'm trying to figure out what word is best.
it's actually called grog. There's a word for it.
Oh, I love that there's a word for it. It's called grog.
Yeah.
And what
Mhm.
is that? What is that?
It can be made of different things. I've heard that it's made of like silica and alumina, but also pieces of fired clay that's broken up really small. But basically, it's mixed into clay so that it gives it more strength, so that you can make it taller without it collapsing. It also aids in the drying process. So yeah, that's part of another piece when you're picking out your clay. You pick your color, and then you pick if you want grog or how much grog. I haven't grown with enough different kinds of clay to fully understand what grog means, but that's a quick overview.
I'm going to very much be excited about talking about grog in regular conversation and see who else knows about it, because I think that's delightful. Oh, so there is, so it's, you can, but do you feel comfortable being, and you're not newish now, but do you feel comfortable still being sort of newish in the pottery world, that you can buy things that you know you want, or buy clay that you know you want, and then do stuff with it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm still incredibly new. I feel like I know this much about pottery, and there's still an infinite amount for me to know. But they do make it really easy when you go to the pottery supply stores to pick out your clay. The third most important piece that you look at is the temperature that it needs to fire to. And so there's
Oh, and you
lower temperature clay and higher temperature clay. And so once you determine your temperature, you just pick from the selection that they have there. And it's pretty straightforward.
okay. And I'm assuming, and make sure this is right, no one owns their own kiln unless they're like a whole other level of potter,
I
right?
think, well, I would say a lot of small potters own their own kiln.
Oh,
Um, I would love to own mine sometime soon. The problem is getting a space to put it. So right now I just borrow a friend's kiln, and I wouldn't say, I mean, she does pottery full time, but she's not like mass producing or anything crazy.
so when she's not using it, you toss your stuff in and use it.
Yep.
And
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen small kilns that are like the size of like a clothes dryer. Is that a good analogy for that? Or maybe that's not necessarily small, but that they come like the size of like a clothes dryer.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That's a pretty normal size. They do get a lot bigger, but most of the ones I've seen, yeah, have been, yeah, about a clothes dryer. Maybe like one of the smaller refrigerators that you see.
And that's like, I would say for like personal slash like do it yourself kinds of individual potter people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And then if you see like pottery companies, I guess you could say, where they have multiple employees and they're turning out tons and tons of product. They'll have these huge standing kilns, or they might just have 10 of the washer dryer size kilns too.
Oh, okay. I've actually seen walk-in kilns, and that's
Yeah.
pretty frightening. I mean, that takes a lot of power to be able to, but there's like, 6 or 8 shelves high, and it's 3 around, and you're putting, there's pieces everywhere, and that's a whole other level. So I forgot my prop, which I will bring the next time that we see you. So Meg has started her Etsy store, and she put it up, and all of our family got so excited that we all bought her out in like a week. And I think you were a little more surprised that we all bought everything.
Oh yeah, no, I couldn't believe it. I think I've updated my Etsy 3 times since my first one, and every time the mugs are gone within a couple of days. I can't believe it. It's amazing.
We have family sort of all over the Midwest and the East, and so we don't get to see each other as much as we like. And so when Meg put this up, I was like, well, hell, I'm getting this. And so we've all been super excited. So how does it make you feel when you do it? Like when I talk to my father about that, when he does wood, and we actually didn't put this, we actually talked about this, but it didn't get into an interview. He talked about it as if it's like he goes to another place in his head, and it's a real release, but it's also very analytical, because he's trying to think about the thickness of the wood and how the tools work and how the wood is behaving and all of those kinds of things. So what's it like for you when you are throwing a pot?
Yeah, I'd say it's the same thing. And it's actually what I told my boss a couple of weeks ago, how after a really long day at work, my brain just feels like mush. It's so nice to just be able to go down in the basement and focus on what's, a pretty straightforward, repetitive task. But it's like everything in your mind just leaves, and you can focus on just doing something very simple. You can listen to music or a podcast, and yeah, it is super therapeutic. And then at the end of it, you get to have, this beautiful functional cup or mug or plate or whatever you actually decided to make. And see it in your life. It's very cool.
That's awesome. And so you started out our interview tonight talking about that you wanted to be able to make pots for the overpopulation of plants that you had. Did you, or are you in the process of like realizing that goal? Like, do all of your little plants now have gorgeous and sexy houses that you made for them?
They actually don't. Yeah, which it's funny because that was my original goal, but it was like as soon as I found pottery, my hobby used to be plants.
Yeah.
And now it's pottery. And so I haven't gotten any more plants that I need to make pots for. And I've of course swapped out a few here and there. Like I think I have one right here actually, where I put this plant in this little
pot. Yeah.
A few here and there.
Yep.
But I found that I like mugs so much more because I can, I pick up and I use a mug every single day. Whereas planters, they're beautiful and I love them, but I don't use them every day.
Okay, so my goal for you on this, which is just my goal, is I want people to get so excited about like you and your story that they're like, pottery? I could do pottery too. And yeah. I just think it's so cool that this showed up in your brain like this and you decided to go for it, and then you really decided to go for it. And that's just so cool.
Yeah, it's been a crazy adventure. I never really envisioned myself selling anything. I just wanted to make some stuff for gifts. But I was making too much too fast. I couldn't stop. And everyone was asking me when I was going to start opening an Etsy. So it just seemed like the next step. And it's been great so far. I love it.
That's cool. So in this series, we're gonna like really talk about it. We're gonna talk about like what it means to throw and like how you do it. How do you like get it ready? Like once you throw it and it's on the wheel, then what happens? You can't just put the wheel in the kiln. And then we're going to talk about firing and glazing and all those things. And I know that could be like 6 hours of talking about glazing because there's well, there I have a couple of things that I'm going to ask a huge favor for. And then Meg has agreed to also talk about like selling, like how her Etsy store works and like how you do it and like so that we're gonna do a little soup to nuts start your own business here.
Yeah,
This is
absolutely.
really cool. This is really cool. Um, I have to say this is a thrill for me, and I hope that those people who are watching are like, wow, you can just do this. You can just do this. Um, and feel free, those of you who are watching, to ask questions, put comments in there, you know, nice comments. And, you know, ask questions like one of the things that I'm going to ask, and I'm getting you ready for next time, is my mug, and I'm just going to let everybody wonder what it looks like. My mug has these really cool designs in it. And now that I know I've seen a lot of Meg's work, I think that's like her signature look. And so, you know how it's like her brand. And so when we talk about it, we're going to talk about like, how do I know that this is a Megan Warner versus somebody else's pottery? So I think that that'll be sort of interesting as well.
Yeah,
Well, Kels,
absolutely.
this is just a lovely intro into a world that I hope that you will hang out with us and see. And I'm really excited. I'm really excited for everyone to see all the stuff you do.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kelly. This was great. I'll talk about pottery whenever you want me to.
Yay! That sounds great. See you, everybody.